And I looked at it and I was just like, all right, but can you actually make money with this stuff? Like, is this actually a sustainable thing to sell to businesses?
If all you do is look at AI content and just copy what's done well, you're a derivative content creator. You're just echoes of what's been said before. You're cooked. You're fried.
There's no doubt to me that it is not a bubble like everybody else is saying. Hey, what's going on, big guy?
What up, what up, what up? The man, the myth, the legend. How's it going, bro?
Fantastic, man. Good seeing you. Been a while.
Dude, I know, man. What's been happening in the world, bro? What's been fresh? Have you been on a big Nixarev hike? Have you been solving math equations, man? I need to know the details.
Yeah, a little bit of both. It's really just been agentic workflows that have taken every iota of my brain power in the last couple of weeks. So, you know, everybody and their mom was talking about this stuff like 6 months ago, CloudCode and building cool things.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was just like, all right, but can you actually make money with this stuff? Like, is this actually a sustainable thing to sell to businesses? And the answer to that question was, as we know, pretty much no. Well, anyway, 6 months has gone by and now you can. And I'm like cracked out, man. I'm like Russian hacker mode in a silo somewhere.
Oh, dude. Dude, I feel you on that. I went down, a rabbit hole. I think my chick didn't see me in 48 hours, man. It was me, this big screen, which you can't see. It's too big to show on screen, and CloudCode, man. And I did think, dude, am I going down a rabbit hole? But I think the juice versus the squeeze finally hit its critical mass. I was like, this is actually freaking wild. And I felt a bit guilty because for me, bro, I was like, you don't want to move people to the next big thing. Like, you know, you do video on like the vibe coding stuff or entertain and make. And then it's like, now we're over here. But CloudCode is for real, dude. It's for massive real.
I feel that, man. I was going through the same thing and I was like, well, I could play it safe. But then I came across this quote online and I'll share it with you. And I actually since have posted it on my own X account. And essentially, it's something like, and I'm going to have to paraphrase because I realize I block all my social media in the mornings. But it's something like, you know, if you grow your audience and your audience gets bigger. Okay, actually, here it is. The larger your audience is, the more people see what you create. The more people that see what you create, the larger a cost of a mistake is. And the larger the cost of a mistake is, the safer you play. And the safer you play, the worse your content will eventually get. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about it in the context of like, when you and I started, right? We had no freaking idea what we were doing. We were just sharing what we found cool, to be honest. Cool and effective. And then we would share tidbits from our own life as entrepreneurs. None of it was planned. None of it was really like, is the market ready for this yet? That sort of stuff. And so while I understand that, you know, you do need to accommodate that, I also just want to share what's really cool and what's clearly like the future of all this stuff. So I've been fielding some questions recently for sure. I don't exactly know how to answer all of them, but we'll figure it out.
I feel you on that, bro, because I did a big feedback survey recently. And one piece of feedback that came up is, you know, good stuff, but it was like, if you're like 6 months behind and you're learning like Make or NA10, and then you say, actually, forget that. That is out the window. Now we're over here. It's really overwhelming for beginners. But at the same time, dude, it's like, you have to follow the stuff that's latest and working. And I actually feel you on that point. Like, was what we talked about before with audience capture, where the tail starts wagging the dog a little bit. Like I had a video early on a couple of years ago that went really viral on ChatGPT. And this is when it came out. Actually, I shared it on LinkedIn. It was really funny. My buddy sent it me and there's a screenshot of me saying, dude, I just made a video on ChatGPT inspired by what you sent me. And that was like the beginning of the whole thing. And so I thought that was a really cool flashback for a couple of years ago. But what ended up happening is that went so viral and I got like 10,000 subscribers off one video. And my goal that year on YouTube was to get 1,000 subscribers. And this was like month 3. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. But then weirdly, I just got captured by it in a sense of you have now all this expectation that they really want to see content on this thing. And so you if you want to serve the subscriber base, you end up getting caught by the audience. And it's like a self-perpetuating cycle. But I think you need courage and boldness as a creator to say, this is a direction that we're heading in now.
For sure. And I think when you run the habit of just doing what you think is best, even if, I don't know, maybe it won't necessarily be best, or I don't know, the market isn't ready for something or whatnot. And you just make it clear that like you're being congruent with what you find the most interesting and valuable, economically speaking. Like people forgive you for it. You're totally fine. You know, it's just people that continuously try to ride trends, I think.
Trend.
Those aren't respected. Yeah.
They're not. No, they're really not. It's also, we talk about this a lot, right? These like, if all you do is look at AI content and just copy what's done well, you're a derivative content creator. You're just echoes of what's been said before.
Absolutely. What are some cool things you built with this?
CloudCode. CloudCode.
You just rebuilt CloudCode 2.0. That's pretty funny.
So funny. So what am I actually using it for? Good question. I'm starting to manage my whole life with it. So the biggest solve I think I found for it, and you find yourself going down these rabbit holes, but it's basically adding document management to AI in a sense that you can have these folders that would be like team, health, business, finance, blah, blah, blah. All of them have their own memory file, and it can glide up and down all the folders and give you specific things, which I found really handy. I'm using the sub-agent thing quite well. So it's good at retaining context. Like I've got lots of sub-agents for particular things. Like team will have its own sub-agents within sub-agents that run little tasks and stuff. So that's really cool. But the big business one for me, bro, is actually websites. I've left Webflow, I've left WordPress, I've left Card.co, and I think the introduction to Gemini and CloudCode is hit a critical mass now, where it is now too easy and too good to create one-pagers apps that are better than your cookie cutter website stamp. You can literally, it's just crossed that line for me, and it's so unbelievably easy to get it published on your own domain and have info linkages that it's just wild. So I found that to be exceptional, man. So I'm moving
spinning up these like websites and whatnot for whatever projects you're doing, and also just as a form of communication, I could see really cool. What I'm a big fan of is the screenshot loop, which they unveiled like 6 months ago. So it's not recent news, but when people see it like in action, it's wild. Where for the benefit of somebody that might not know, you give it access to a screenshot tool, or you have it build a screenshot tool, and then it does the development, then it screenshots it, and it just compares that screenshot to maybe some source file, some, I don't know, demo or mockup, and then it just tries to get it as close as humanly possible to it. Back when I was running website design, I mean, this is a whole job, right? That's what your web dev would do. Like your Webflow dev would take a mockup from your Figma dev or whatever, and then they just try and align it one-to-one. I mean, this is something that's just completely good luck getting a job as, like a Webflow designer or whatever in the next year or so.
You're cooked, you're fried, you're toast. It is wild. Like it even understands things like the fold, where you'd be like, it needs to not have things overlapping on the fold. The fold is, if anyone watching, is like when you load up a web page, everything you see without scrolling is the fold, and then you have so on and so forth. So the idea is like one thought, one fold. It gets that. I actually did some interesting comparisons with Bolt and Lovable. And bro, it was, dude, I don't want to ruffle feathers, Nick, but we don't pull our punches on the Jack and Nick and Jack podcast over here. So I compared it, bro, and let's just say, dude, it was noticeably crisper when you're using Gemini to build this stuff. And I was like, I don't know if you played around much with Gemini, but I was like, man, it has really cracked the UI to like a crazy extent. And it can, I mean, the fact that it can go into your browser, I mean, if you downloaded Gemini's coding UI, which, to be honest with you, I have my own opinions on this, but when you download it, you can do this in Claude if you give it like certain accesses and things. It can just test things, stress test things in the website on its own browser, which is crazy. So you can actually just ask it to go and do these button works, do the scenarios work. So you've eliminated testing jobs. And the design thing
totally.
has been so.
They just set it on turbo and just, for sure.
It just goes.
For sure. Because it requires taste.
Yeah, I don't know how they've done it. I'm sure they could explain it to us, but taste is like it's difficult to articulate good taste. It's most appreciated in its absence, but when you see it, you're like, it's better. It's way better.
This is your question on how they did it. GPUs,
crap ton of GPUs. Bro, just like, dude, set those GPUs off and get crazy. Dude, did you see that whole, like, not to take us off topic, but the bubble theory of AI, where it shows the relationship between NVIDIA and OpenAI, and it's basically 7 companies, and all their revenue just is like floating around like each other. So it's like, if you and I have a company, we keep billing each other like $1 million a month. Well, like, dude, we're doing like $100 million in revenue. It's like, but it's just like floating between us. It's freaking hilarious.
I have seen this. Yeah, we should have our editor pull that out while we talk. But I found this really similar to the whole like debt idea, where you can like create, $10 of debt with just $1 in circulation. you're like creating hundreds, if not millions of dollars in revenue with just like a tiny actual amount of capital flowing. There's no doubt to me that it is not a bubble like everybody else is saying. I mean, you know it because you're using these technologies daily. I mean, I'm building, production grade applications that you would have paid thousands of dollars for just literally 2 months ago. But I mean, anytime that there is actual capability, there's obviously going to be a massive motivation to try and blow up the perception of that capability. And I think that's what we're seeing there. So can I blame them for it? I mean, not really. That's totally what I would do too, man. This is the future. I want as much interest and money and funding in that venue as humanly possible.
I couldn't agree more. I think the funny thing with things like these, the CLIs, the coding line interfaces, as they call them, is it's intimidating before you get started because you just see, it's like you're in the Matrix, right? You see all the stuff on the screen. What the hell is that? What the hell is this? Once you get past that, like probably 4 hours of lock-in, you're so familiar with it. It's like an old country stroll down the park, and then you're ready to rock and roll. I think people seem to get over that initial inertia. I also think that's the whole hack with almost any of these services, dude, like ads. Who are these kind of mystical warders of the dark arts who have the secret keys and integrations, and then they're like, we were talking about this on the stream, right? It's like, oof, we're gonna have to go deep in that and figure all this sort of stuff out. It's like, it's the same thing. It's just the getting over the inertia of picking up initially, but once you get it, it's incredible. That definitely is.
For sure. I think there are probably three, maybe four of these major like unlocks where if you just spend 20 hours immersed in it, you gain access to infinite distribution, infinite building skills. There's two sides of the coin now, right? There's like your ability to produce something, and there's your ability to distribute that thing. And obviously the cost of production has been falling every year since, we had website drag and drop builders. I mean, even before then through just abstraction and programming languages. But like distribution, on the other hand, I mean, it's been easier to distribute through like social media platforms and stuff like that. But it hasn't fallen to the same degree. And so because, this thing's like the cost of this has gone down and this has only gone down a little bit, this is like so much more valuable right now. So I think about ads, is like basically the pay to win, start at zero and tomorrow have 100 million people using a product. I mean, like if your ad campaign is done right, you can. I think of organic as like a slower moving behemoth, like a really heavy train that you're like pushing inertia into. And so like if you get that right as well, you can crush. I also think about like cold outbound, at least like the automated mechanisms that I talk about is like a good example of ads just in reverse. Instead of building something nice and getting eyeballs on it that way, you actually go reach out to people, but then you use AI and automated methods to reach out to hundreds of thousands of people with seemingly customized offers. So I feel like these are the real skills that are unlocks. I mean, yeah, obviously the 4 or 5 hours to just like stare at the CloudCode instance and be like, okay, I think I know what that means. That's important. But dude, like I don't know about you, but I haven't spent any time on ads, and it's always just been a massive thorn in my side. So if you want, we could like set up an accountability challenge of some kind.
I think
just do it.
I think that would be cool. Like I went through pushing some buttons in Facebook 2 days ago, and I was like, okay, we need to de-scope ads to something really small and simple, like a small, simple challenge to get going. But yeah, I'm up for that, bro. We should do that. I was thinking about this idea of, do you think, is it a funny thought experiment, that the longer term the feedback cycle for the thing, generally the greater the reward is for it?
Yeah, in general, I think that's like a reasonable rule.
Yeah. It's like, because there are some bets and activities that you do that you don't really know if they pay off for like an extended period of time. And I think the longer the period of time that is, the fewer people that can hold diamond hands until it pays off.
Totally. And then because of that, then obviously there's so much more demand for that outcome. So fewer people willing to supply that demand. So the cost of that goes way up. Then you get to benefit.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it in context of YouTube. And okay, you call it content strategy, whatever. Like if you take a strategic bet on a direction that resonates with you personally, like your content's going to be a lot better, right? Anyway, because it's just what you love doing content on. And you do get, in some senses, immediate feedback from your audience. But I don't think you can truly realize, maybe this is a bad example, but you can kind of see where I'm going with this. Like the payoffs of certain decisions aren't really fully borne out for months. Like you can't know if it was a great decision or not for a long period of time. And obviously the game, the entrepreneur, right, is to find these mini feedback loops to minimize your cost and time investment. But I do wonder with some things, you need big time. So for example, NVIDIA, insane valuation. They had to take a bet that was counter market for a long period of time. And they actually took a bet on where the market was going. That like, if the requirement is going to go up, they're going to need these chips. And I think they were laughed out of several rooms saying, we don't need that, until the point where they'd spent all the time building the infrastructure on the bet, that it paid off and they got rewarded unbelievably because of that. And then it has like, I don't know how many people who work at NVIDIA are millionaires, but it's greater than one. So I think it just is a thought process for you, I think, risk tolerance. I think it's an interest. I mean, I don't want to create a fallacy that doesn't exist in terms of like, you know, I think it's always better to try and find faster feedback loops if you can. But I've been playing around with this idea of are there some bets where the feedback loops are just longer. You won't really know if it's right until a long period of time. So I'm playing around with that kind of thought for a little bit.
Yeah, it's an example I actually make pretty often in my content. But you know how a lot of people ask, should I start a SaaS company or an agency? And I think our responses to that, or for freelance or whatever, responses to that are usually, well, like, have you ever done anything like this before? What's your financial situation like?
Yeah, definitely.
And if they've never done anything like this before, and if they have a shitty financial situation, the recommendation is literally, I was just like, no, man, just start like a freelancer thing, start an agency, sell services, make a tiny bit of money. But if you've never done anything, you need to focus on the fast feedback loops. But then the more skilled that you get, you know, obviously you're like extraordinarily skilled, you have a lot of money, the smaller any marginal improvement in your wealth and or skills get. It's like the same thing as when you're one year is 100% of all the life you've lived. And so you think about it a lot more. It's a lot more relative. When you're 50 or whatever, you live 1 year, that's like 2% of the life, right? So your perception of it and its value to you, it changes. So in the case of what business is a start, you know, after you've built, you know, some capital, I don't know, you made 500 grand or $1 million or something like that, and you have a skill set that enables you to make more when you want. Now it's like, okay, well, I can zoom out and I can take those longer term bets that may have longer feedback loops. Like if I was a totally rational agent, which I try and ask myself this question sometimes, like if I was just like a totally rational agent that functioned purely on statistics and expected value, what would I do first? And like what I probably wouldn't do is I probably wouldn't just try and start the next Uber right off the bat, you know? But I probably would try and do something like that eventually. I'd probably, you know, build up my net worth and connections and distribution and renown. And then eventually when I do take a bet, you know, I multiply that leverage and increase the probability that it would work a lot. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Jensen Huang was like, I don't think it was his first rodeo. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he didn't stroll out of McDonald's kitchen after flipping burgers and was like, I gotta give this thing a bit of a crack today. Yeah, he did a little bit of stuff before that. No, I agree with that. The one thing, it's also where you're at in your life. Like, I do think financial stability, it's like fundamental, physical health, financial stability, before you start talking about making a crazy amount of money. Like, I had a guy ask me recently, should I do an agency or a SaaS? And I sort of said, it really depends on what you want, because you're going to make more money quicker doing an agency. But realistically, you know, if you're looking, I mean, most people won't make $10 million to $1 billion on their SaaS, especially, you'd be unusual if you did that for your first time. But I do think at a certain point in your entrepreneurial journey, you do want some form of bet in which it is feasible that it would become a 9-10 figure thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so for Sam and Alex, that would be Scorp, right? Like, I think it's good to have some interest in a vehicle that has the potential to reach to $1 billion exit. So, for example, I don't think AI agencies will sell for $1 billion, for example. It's, you know, it's in the same way that when there are social media marketing agencies that sold for like $1 billion, to the best of my knowledge. Or if it will, it would be in a different form, which is currently understood. It'd be great for making incredible income, but if you're looking at $1 billion exit, a unicorn, it's something slightly different. So it's like that risk thing of having a division of, you know, assets, your intellectual capital in different vehicles. So I think it's cool.
Instantly did this. They started as an agency selling cold email services, and then they bootstrapped, made a ton of money. And then once they had a ton of money, they were like, okay, well, let's productize this. And they started productizing more and more and more. Eventually, they built software to do what they were doing manually. And then at the very end, they're like, well, shit, now we have this really cool software platform. Why don't we try selling it? And then they became a SaaS. And so they, in my opinion, were the best of all worlds. They presumably had little experience getting into it, had a very strong cash flow vehicle, and then they reinvested the proceeds of some of that cash flow into that like generational style bet. I don't know how generational we're talking. I don't know what their revenue is, but I'm sure they make a lot more money now. I think about it a lot as well in terms of my own quality of life. I used to never understand VCs and how they only ever made $10 billion bets. I was like, statistically speaking, isn't it better to actually bet on some sure things and then just make more modest returns? But think about it. Like a lot of these people, dude, how does your life appreciably change at a $5 million net worth versus a $10 million net worth? It doesn't really change much, right? Basically, the magnitude of lifestyle changes are most pronounced between 0 and 1. And then 1 to 2 is 1/50th of 0 to 1. And then 2 to 5 is 1/50th of 1 to 2. And it's just it's so minor. So when you've built anything of renown, you're this is just more of the same. I could just add some random number to a digital ledger in my bank account. Or I could try doing some really crazy shit. And if they fail, it doesn't mean anything anyway, because it's not like anybody has their freaking net worth. Dude, think about Elon Musk, man.
Yeah.
Okay? Think about Mr. Controversy. Think about Elon. He loses every single one of his companies tomorrow. Does this man's life, aside from the fuck ton of work he's doing, does his actual quality of life change at all?
No.
Even 0.01%.
No.
Nah, man. He's still drinking his Diet Cokes or whatever. Living in the same house. It doesn't matter. So the only bets worth making are the generational bets.
I completely agree with that. I even had this thought experiment myself. Whether you made 5x more or 5x less, would your last week have been any different? Do you know what I mean? It's it does put things into perspective for you. We can easily end up trying to chase and play games that are not the right kind of games. That's the kind of trap that a lot of people flow into.
Yeah,
Elon's done. I mean, I agree with you on Elon. He took big bets. He is putting rockets into space. So I think it's pretty awesome. I mean, you get these kind of cool, wacky idea. I think it would be a real blessing to work on a project that, I think your first big software thing, they say do for money because it makes sense economically. But then after that, I think when you get to the Bezos level of, I don't know, I fancy that. It's kind of you're driven more by passion because it's no longer a financial thing. It's more what's a problem in the world that I really care about, that I want to get involved with. And his is space travel, which I think is cool. Nick, imagine if we did a space company. Do you know what I mean? Wouldn't that be cool? That would be we actually, in a way, don't care how much money it makes. It's just cool. It's just very, very cool. And we want to get a logo on a rocket or something. I think that would be that's the kind of thing where obviously you'd want it to do well, obviously, but at the same time, it's just epic. So you wouldn't really mind that much because you're driven by a greater purpose, restoring eyesight to people in countries, 50% of which, by the way, is all completely curable. That blew my mind. That 50% of all blindness is completely curable. That I thought that was crazy. That's a mission. It's man, that would feed you on a level that there's no business could possibly match that.
Yeah, money is just a means to that end as opposed to the end. In the vast majority of businesses, obviously you need healthy financials and whatnot to do what you want to do. So it's always a balance. But yeah. I feel you, man. And I think it also depends on where you're from. I think the people saying when you start your first software company, you need to be profitable. Those people are probably predominantly from startup land, right? They're from Silicon Valley and San Francisco and whatnot. And their main way of making money and the language that they speak is just in the language of startups and founders and whatnot. If you go somewhere else, you get people making an equivalent amount of money to how much, let's say, a founder would after 3 or 4 years, and then some reasonably sized exit for $5 to $10 million, just through cash flowing vehicles, in our cases, information products and then content. So I mean, it's the same thing, really. First thing is just increase the probability of success so you can actually get your bearings. You don't just spin your tires for the rest of your life. But after you have it, yeah. And so I think that's a situation that you and I are quickly finding ourselves in, to be honest. It's just hey, what really gets you going? And I know you're experimenting and exploring, I should say, with Glido. Yeah. And I think that's a really cool example of something that, in my opinion, is kind of in that middle point between this has a great financial promise, but also this could actually meaningfully change how people do work. And so, yeah, it's just really cool to see. It's really cool to be able to zoom out and just see these patterns, I would say.
Yeah, it is cool to do that. I think it's good to have those bets, like with your dental thing. Has it got a name? Are you sharing the name publicly for this beautiful?
Yeah, Dental Connect is going to be the name.
Dental Connect. Some say the best dental marketing agency on the planet. I don't know. We're not saying that. People are saying that. We're hearing this everywhere we go these days. But it's good to have these beautiful bets, man. But it's like, don't you think as well, Nick? It's also the ability to think clearly. It's your biggest asset is your brain. And you want to kind of get out of the quagmire of the day-to-day and think strategically, because I often find that, the agency disaster business, it's very easy to get, not saying delivery mode, but really taking fresh time away. I mean, I've heard of pretty high-level founders taking one entire day a week where they do nothing except for thinking. It's probably one of the most highest leverage days that they do. Like that's something that you can easily fall into a trap of if you just end up becoming a busy idiot, running around, doing a lot of things. Like, are they all the right things to be doing? You have to ask these questions every now and again.
Yeah, true. I think about all the major unlocks in my life, and they've all just been directly related to events I've gone to, people I've seen, or journal entries that I've written. And you can just see my income basically go like this. It's like, boom, and then it plateaus. Then I do one of these things, and it's like, boom, and then it plateaus. And it just like, it doesn't matter how much effort I continue applying it, like the tiny thing, my income does not appreciably rise until I fundamentally change something, like with one of these journal entries.
It's funny. I always found that plateau, explode. I'm like, dude, it's funny. But I think if you zoom out, there is no plateau. That's the thing. It's like if you zoom out enough time, it's actually, it all follows that like graph. But it operates in that way, right? Which I think is interesting. So dude, outside of CloudCode and stuff, man, did you do anything cool or challenging? Any cool new coffee spots in Calgary, man?
Calgary, Alberta, dude. Hold on a sec. I shouldn't do this because it'll fuck my camera up a little bit, but check it out. Ain't no coffee out there, man.
Is that snow, dude?
Just hell yeah, just brutal pain and suffering.
Oh, dude, I would kill for some snow right now, man.
You'd kill for some snow? I think the snow would kill you, Jack.
Dude, I was born for the snow, man. I was raised by the snow, man. I was ready. Remember, I'm in the UK, bro. We don't really get anything other than rain and snow, man. So,
yeah, that's a good point, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah.
It's
nice. So we had the longest like non-snow period in many years here. Snow fell November the 22nd, I believe. Snow falls as early as like July here, man. It's crazy. Like summer season can be as short as 1 month or as long as like 6 months. And we got really lucky because it was at the end of the 6 months. But yeah,
you're gonna have snow for Christmas then. You're gonna have snow for Christmas.
Oh, dude, yeah, man. Like it's a mandatory that you have snow for Christmas here. Basically, there's no, dude. It's like minus 40 here on Christmas.
That is true Christmas, dude. That is authentic Christmas. Like I remember when I was a kid, we had snow at Christmas, but then it stopped happening, and I was like, man, you can't get into the festive mood unless I'm like trudging through inches of snow every day. I need that to get into the proper headspace for it.
Girlfriend and I went for a walk in the snow. She loves it. And I saw a big snowbank and I just pushed her into it. And I was like, we're doing snow angels now. And then we just started doing snow angels. It was cold. Highly not recommend doing that.
How did she
crawled back home.
Did you blast her with some snowballs, dude? How did she react?
For sure, man. Obviously. Rite of passage.
She's got to know you got hands, man. She's got to know that, and I can hurl a snowball when required. Like you gotta just let her know every now. Just pap her with a little speedball every now and again. She knows what's up. When I'm getting too confident, that's it.
What about you, man? How's Dubai been?
Dubai's been cool. I had a buddy come over. It was cool. I kind of ended up having to get to a load of events and stuff in a week, which was cool. It kind of blasts your like social battery. I don't know if you've ever done like 5 or 6 days in a row, and you're like, dude, I just have to like not speak to a human for like 3 hours right now. Even though I'm like majorly extroverted, that was cool. So met a few people, had to do a few meetings and stuff. That was cool. And then just planning up for the end of the year, man, and planning up to Christmas. So trying to get something epic edged in, and I'm building up to our Halo campaign, which is going to be the crown jewel of the gaming world achievements, I think.
Oh, that's going to be so cool. Jack and I are going to play Halo. And we're going to run through the whole campaign. Dude, I can't wait.
We one thing we haven't discussed is the difficulty mode. And
shit.
just like easy mode, like I said, like
Jack, we're playing to have a good time here, man. You know, like what if we get questions during the stream?
Can you imagine, dude? Okay, what would be worse? The irreversible reputational damage of playing on anything less than nightmare mode, or like getting hooned so much you never get past level 1 because you can't go back. There's no way you can start and say, guys, we overshot here. We got to go back. Like you are marching forward, dude. Whatever is required.
Bro, I can't do nightmare mode, man. Maybe one down from nightmare mode. Listen, it's been a minute. Let's just put it that way. It's been a minute.
I think we Nick, I think we have to. I actually don't think we can do anything less than the hardest difficulty. I think the higher, the greater the risk, the greater the reward. We
MLG? They should have called it MLJ.
MLJ, dude, that's it. Dude, I'm gonna have plenty of room. We're gonna move forward. Dude, I think you'll crush it, dude. I think you'll crush it. I think I actually, to be fair, did play the campaign mode on the hard mode, and there are moments. The problem is you actually do have to think. It's not like we're gonna have to. It's going to be the words per minute ratio is going to be one of the lowest ever, dude. It's going to be like 2 words per 60 seconds maximum.
That sounds like a terrible idea, Jack. I think you just really want to play Halo. And like I do too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a sliding scale there. Would you settle at a medium?
I don't think we can, Nick. I think too much is riding on this reputation.
Okay. All right.
Are we the kind of guys that go down the medium difficult? I don't know if we can. Yeah,
classic.
I think that's going to be cool. But I didn't realize Moist Critical had streamed the Halo campaign. It's got this like huge nostalgia with people. Like it really does, dude.
Oh damn,
it's
that
got
sucks,
cool
man.
resonance.
I thought we were gonna be, yeah. I really like this guy's stuff. He got sucked into a League of Legends loop recently.
Did he?
I don't know if you saw. Yeah, his videos are so funny. He's just like, hey guys, I was just was in the bathroom and I got out and I saw my computer and League of Legends was on it, and I was like, "No, please stop!" Like I can't do this again. But then nothing would close, and then I click the campaign, and so here we fucking are, I guess. And then he just plays for like 14 hours. He's like very
I've
addicted.
never played League of Legends. It's like it seems like one of those go-to games that I never actually. I'm gonna check it out right now. You played a little bit, right?
Oh, dude, I played a lot of League of Legends. I played like a disgusting amount of League of Legends. I'm the one that brought it to my high school, actually.
Dude,
I can
really?
safely say I fried a lot of brains with that move.
So, okay, for those viewers who know what NA10 and Make is but don't know the wonders of League of Legends, how would you kind of like sell it in a sense? How would you kind of explain it to somebody?
Well, it's both real time strategy elements like resource accumulation, think like StarCraft or Warcraft. But then it's also flash cutty micro movement first person shooter style stuff, like when you get into altercations. It's extraordinarily strategic, but it's also very tactical. And so you have people that play on the macro, which is like the movement of what are called minions, basically your army across the map. And they play to optimize for resource accumulation, and then objectives, which are like destruction of like towers and whatnot. But then you also have the micro, which are people that are like extraordinarily cracked out at the manipulation of their actual individual champions or characters, they're called.
So do you need to do both, the macro and the micro?
Well, you do, like good League of Legends players do both. But I do find that that the groups tend to focus on one or the other, like the high level ones. Like, for instance, one of the most popular streamers of all time, his name is Baus. Now, Baus is actually like fantastically, ridiculously good at micro too. But he basically put League of Legends on its head for a little while because he introduced a new strategy that was almost entirely macro focused with a set of champions that just, when they die, they just due to the way that their passive abilities work, they respawn a little bit faster. And so he basically introduced a whole new set of strategies that like focused on just pushing the minion wave to kill the towers while also accumulating a ridiculous number of deaths. So it was not uncommon for him to go 0 kills, 20 deaths, 0 assists, but then he'd be the sole person responsible for the winning of the game. So that's what's really interesting. There's like new meta strategies that constantly come out and are discovered by players.
Damn, those games where there's more ways to win and there's like a selection of characters, different skills, and you can stack them in infinite ways are just inherently more interesting.
Yeah, they're really fun.
They just are.
They're
if you
really
think about
fun.
how captivating chess is, it's 64 squares on the board. Like, dude, I think if you had the creator chess in a room, he said, dude, I know you like chess, but check this out. And you showed him League of Legends. He'd be like, oh, dude, forget this crap game. And he'd be playing League of Legends constantly. Like I mean, like chess has somehow become, it's a game, but it's somehow become this revered classical, almost like pseudo intellectual sport, which like, it's cool. You know, if you're spending hours playing chess, that's refined, that's classical, that's intellectual. But if you're playing League of Legends, you're a loser, you're a white monster energy drinking Kyle, you know, with drywall and you're punching, and you need to get a hold of yourself. It's just funny how, like, do you know what I mean? The perception difference is crazy on that.
Yeah,
This
for
sounds
sure.
like a game that I both need to and not need to play at the same time, because I might never come back from this, Nick, if I go too deep with this.
The last thing I'll mention before we move on is the best League of Legends players, I think, are way more impressive than the best chess players. And it's just because of dimensionality. Okay. Chess occurs in fixed time steps. One move, one move, one move. Okay. You can think of these as frames in a game. League of Legends is real time. And so there are fucking hundreds of frames occurring every second. And you have not just, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever directions of possible movement or dimensions of freedom. You have hundreds, if not thousands. You also have multiple abilities. You also have, again, the micro and the macro. So League of Legends as a game is much tougher to grasp, I would say, than chess. And that's why it took a lot longer for games like League of Legends to be playable and actually like winnable in certain conditions through AI and whatnot.
That's actually good. It's funny, that kind of applies to everything, doesn't it? In a sense. Like, I was just thinking about MMA and UFC and that sort of stuff. And I was like, actually, that is another good example of macro and micro. Macro is the strategy for the fight. Are you going to calf kick and circle around? Are you going to train takedown defense for this camp? Are you going to shoot knees at the middle? Like, there's an element of macro and team. And then the micro is the actual performance of the thing in the cage. And it's almost, that applies to literally everything. Like, the strategy for your business, and then the micro is just how you show up on a day-to-day basis. But it's funny, you almost need to flip between those two, like, headspaces to be super effective. Like, it's tough to think macro when you've spent 9 hours doing micro. Like, you can't fit it in over lunch. You need to kind of be in macro mode or be in micro mode. Like, you need to kind of have that distinguishment.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think about it in terms of business. Like, you can optimize your performance on an individual sales call or optimize your marketing campaign or whatever. But then you can also, zoom out and then optimize the functioning of your business as a whole pipeline. And there are a lot of situations as a business owner where you need both.
Yeah.
You need to be able to construct a system that works really well. The whole pipeline works well. But you also need to get the hell in there, get your hands dirty, and just crush it if you're on an investor call or something.
Yeah, it's like how hard you row is not as important as which boat that you're in.
That's really interesting. I feel like you're just full of damn one-liners, man. Jesus,
dude,
where do you get these things?
You don't see the trail of fortune cookies behind my laptop, dude. I do it for the podcast to get ready.
Classic.
So, dude, the nano banana thing, dude. Holy, dude, that is wild. Have you built anything cool with that, dude? I was playing around with thumbnails. It's done a really good job now of just putting you into any thumbnail. That really freaking blew my mind, man.
Yeah, that was the main thing. I'm building out a video editor system that just edits my videos for me, which is hilarious. But essentially,
are you doing that with Claude? That's cool, man.
Yeah, it's a really cool system. There are a bunch of products on the market that do this sort of thing, and they cost out the ass, and they're okay. They're not really that good. Turns out, with a few lines of a high-level natural language now, literally me just being like, build me system, you can have something come out that's pretty solid. So, so it edits my videos, but then more importantly, it gets frames that are good for screenshot purposes. We use Gemini, which actually allows you to feed in video and identify frames. Or you're smiling or action shot. Anyway, and then you take those and then you find outliers in related industries, but not the same industry. Otherwise, it gets very incestuous. And then you just take their thumbnail and then you make some modifications to it minorly and swap your face in there. Then it generates 10 of these. And then I just get to select which one works the best. I haven't published a video with this yet, but I probably will start. And the whole idea is to just fully economize the video process. So I could just record a video every day. And instead of previously it took me an hour and a half or whatever, it'll just be it'll take me no time at all. I'll just record the video, say whatever the hell I want, click a button, and then boom, it'll be on YouTube.
That is amazing, dude. That is a really cool application of that. And you build this all with CloudCode and Gemini, basically.
Yeah, it's a pretty dope system, man. You take the video, then you isolate out and get like the spectrum, the waveform, and then it uses both like AI based transcription, so like it runs it through Whisper, and then it also uses like audio waveform detection to determine when the drops are. So when there's silences, typically when there are silences, this is like a cut point, and then it'll feed in the transcript as well into Claude, and then Claude can both reason about whether or not it's an actual cut point, but then also have the exact timestamp to do the cut. And then you can like move around the timestamps a little bit for like different types of cuts, right? Like some jump cuts are really like this and other ones are like a little bit more left out. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, dude, especially if you bring this into the recording process. Like, hey, Claude, do me a favor, just cut everything I just said up until this point and like you can kind of prime it with the commands in the actual recording itself.
That's the whole idea. Yeah, I'm going to have a trigger word.
I love that, dude. That is a rabbit hole worth going down. Because I think that if you did a video on that, that would freaking crush. That'd be like, because a lot of people ask, like, how the hell do you automate videos? And there's not really that many great examples. But you might have solved it. You might have built something cool.
I'm pretty excited to see where that goes. But yeah, man. And so Nano Banana has been fantastic to that end with the thumbnail detection and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the thumbnail is the biggest part, man. The biggest part of the title. So, yeah, I always want to banana banana. I should have a video coming out in about a couple of hours, actually. Pretty bananas, some argues, but it's a lot of people. Like I was thinking, because I look at these things, and I'm like, obviously it's popular, but I do think about so what? Like, how do you leverage this in a way? So the angle I took on it was, we know that customized emails or ones that present as custom, double the reply rate on average. So if you could create custom images for all of them, every single email, that'd be pretty cool. So we built a system that would like grab summaries from the website and then like have something unique about that business, like on a cat. So for example, one example is, say it needs to be relevant to the thing you're selling, but if your thing was, hey, we eat your competitors for breakfast, or like, we do leads for breakfast. And then it was someone eating breakfast with like their logo on their hat with like, I don't know, a bowl spelling out their name or something, like just to stop the scroll and this perceived like personalization would be cool, especially if you like automated that for like loads of companies. So like that was my like, okay, that's great, but like how could you use it in a real life situation? Because I think it's good to kind of bring it down to context, because otherwise, dude, I just find like these tools, my biggest bugbear is cool tech, but it's just, unless it actually has a utility, it's a distraction a lot of the time. And I think Nano Banana's got some insane potential to do some big things.
Agree 100%. I'm glad that you're dialing it back and making it business focused.
Yeah, dude, 100%. So we need to automate the snow out in Dubai. We haven't figured that one out yet. It's still on the...
They're well underway. That was actually the whole OpenAI deal with the... Yeah. Provide ChatGPT to everybody.
I know, dude. Yeah. Well, dude, any of the crazy stuff we want to touch on, Brew, from the beautiful week of AI and getting people their $1 million? Anything you want to?
Honestly, I think I'm a little short in ideas. If you want it, we could just cut the pod here.
Dude, all right. That sounds like a plan, man.